For the first really 23 years of my life, every single one of my prayers when it came to my mental health was, take this away from me. I do not want it. There was nothing on paper that should have shown someone or shown me that I was struggling with depression and anxiety. But that's the thing about mental illness. It doesn't pick only certain people. It can affect everyone. My early childhood was really great. It happened in a small town in Georgia called Thomaston, Georgia, and I'm the oldest of 4. I grew up in a home that truly made me feel loved, and one of my favorite things about growing up in a big family was just all of the games and it just being really loud. But when I was in 4th grade, I remember looking back, I remember starting to have these feelings that I thought were normal. Feelings of self-doubt or the tape running in my head that I wasn't good enough or that everybody was waiting for me to fail, and just felt like nobody actually understood who I was. And in 4th grade, you don't know how to put words to that. 4th grade, you're 8 or 9. So honestly, I did nothing with it. And it was a moment in 6th grade in Miss Akery's math class, and it was probably my 3rd month at Calhoun, and I just absolutely broke down. And Miss Akery called my mom and was like, hey, I pulled Abby out in the hallway and she just feels like there's so much pressure on her about life. Whether it be Miss Akery, my mom laughs about it now and we can joke in good fun, but it was real. As a 6th grader, I felt the responsibility of my siblings. I felt the responsibility of the move on my shoulders. I felt this responsibility to stuff everything I was feeling in and to move forward for who my dad was and who my mom were in the community. And I didn't have a space to share that. And so in a 6th grade way, it came out kind of silly. It came out kind of silly of breaking down a math class and saying, I feel like a mom and I feel like I have all these responsibilities on me and I don't know what to do with them and I don't like myself and I just want to lay in bed. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to make friends. And everything around me though looked great. There was nothing that happened, and I think that is a big part of when I share my story with people in my mental health journey is nothing has to happen for you to have a mental health journey. I had a great childhood. I had parents who pointed me towards the Lord in every conversation. I had parents that loved me, that held me, that cried with me. I had community support around me. My parents' finances were great. There was nothing on paper that should have shown someone or shown me that I was struggling with depression and anxiety. But that's the thing about mental illness. It doesn't pick only certain people. It can affect everyone. And so in 6th grade, I really started to struggle. And by middle school, my parents helped me intervene, and it went to, okay, we're gonna help her get counseling and we're gonna take this seriously. And for those of you watching this, you know, it wasn't 2024 then. That was in 1999 and 2000. A middle schooler in counseling for mental health was not what people were talking about, you know? And I did still feel pressure to keep quiet and to not share it at youth group and to even not share it with my siblings. I didn't know, I didn't know how to manage that part of my story. And I really thought it was something that I needed to hide. But really transitioning into my middle school and high school years, I started going to weekly counseling. In high school, I started medication. Like we all know, the medication journey, it takes a while to figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. But I was lucky and had people around me that helped me with that. And so I went to high school and that's exactly what I did for 4 years. I failed a lot, I screwed up a lot, and I had a lot of successes. I went on medication, went off medication, went to counseling, stopped going to counseling. But once I graduated college and got out and I was living on my own and I was working in ministry, I found myself saying, okay, if I am counseling middle school students and high school students at this point, and they felt the way I felt right now, would I tell them that this is an okay way to live? When I tell them that this is how Jesus sees them in a season of depression and in a season of anxiety. And it was there in my early 20s that I really started to peel back of being like, what does Jesus actually want from me in my season of depression? What does Jesus actually want from me when I'm having anxiety? Because honestly, for the first really 23 years of my life, every single one of my prayers when it came to my mental health was, take this away from me. I do not want it. I thought that Jesus, because he was a healer, that he would heal me, that he would heal my mental health journey, that I would experience complete healing and never have to struggle with this again. And it wasn't until my late 20s, I'm married at this point, and we don't have kids, that I had a moment and I was laying in bed and I called in work sick. I wasn't sick. I needed a mental health day because I could barely get myself out of bed. Probably hadn't eaten in 2 days or brushed my teeth. And I felt this presence. And I felt a presence say, do you believe that I love you just as much right now when you're laying in bed doing nothing? Do you believe that I love you just as much in this moment as when you are up on stage preaching the gospel to middle school and high school kids? And I said, no. And it was in that moment of actually laying down that I had bought the lie that my performance meant my mental health was good, or that my performance meant that Jesus was shining a light on me and that Jesus was shining through me. I had bought the lie that I could not be a follower of Jesus, that I could not be true to myself, that I could not have healthy relationships because I had mental health, that I had to come over the hump of mental health before I could have all these things. And it was in that moment that Jesus said, absolutely not. It is here in this moment that you are called to have deep relationships. It is here in this moment of sorrow of you laying in your bed where you are invited into still do your career. It's here in this moment that you're still called to do X, Y, or Z sitting in front of you. And it completely changed and rocked my world. No more was it, I'm praying for him to take this away. My prayers then shifted in my mental health to, okay, you have me in this deep water for a reason. I could either get lost in the tossing of the waves and completely keep fighting it, or I could finally admit I am a person with mental health issues. I will probably struggle with this the rest of my life, and Jesus is still going to use me and call me to do good things in it. Now, going out from that space, what can I do? And so that really changed for me. And it started to change for me I met my husband, and he jokes that he heard me before he saw me. And his name is Ryan. And I just kind of opened up to him, and I shared with him of like, hey, in this day, in this moment, this is where my mind went. You know, this is how fast I spiraled down. This is why I couldn't get out of bed. This isn't me being lazy. This is an illness. And he was fabulous. And he was like, I want to learn more. I want to learn more how I can support you. And that was the first person I feel like, besides my parents, that really entered in that with me, saying like, I want to learn more. Like, I want to learn how I can support you, instead of just listening to me. And as Ryan and I started praying about having kids, my fear was, what if I can't be a good mom? What does it look like to be a mom that needs days in bed? What does it look like to be a mom that might need a lot more help to raise kids than the average woman? What does that look like? And we decided to go for it anyway. We decided to go for it. And so, you know, I'm feeling great, and my husband meets me at the ultrasound place, and the ultrasound tech gets the wand out, and she starts the ultrasound, and she stops the ultrasound wand. And as a woman, your mind goes to, are you on fertility drugs? And I said, I'm not sure. Is Clomid a fertility drug? And she was like, well, kind of. And I was like, okay. She was like, I just think you and your husband need to brace yourselves. And I was like, okay. And so she goes back to the ultrasound, and she's like, baby A, baby B, Baby C, we were told by all the medical professionals doing their job that we are probably looking at lifelong disabilities if the triplets made it home.